ready to learn and experience the process of becoming a Medicare machine?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today, brother?
Hold on, I can't hear out of the right spot here. About to throw my computer out the window. We'll find out if that happens or not. Try that.
How's that?
So, I still can't hear you. That's good.
Still can't hear me?
Good. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Let's see. Speaker. Let's try that. Say something now.
I love you. Still nothing?
I don't want to do this today now. I hate when technology doesn't work. Whatever. Anyways.
Making progress.
Are you saying anything? You're just sitting there staring at me. No, you're saying something.
No,
God
I'm
bless
trying
it.
to- I mean,
Hold
as
on.
funny as it would be just to sit here and pretend like I'm saying something.
I can't hear anything. This is going to make me so livid.
You got this. You'll figure it out. There, let's try that. Anything now? All right.
All right.
Showing.
Well,
Check.
I don't care.
Go ahead,
So,
me on the side. Can you hear me now?
I mean, it sounds like you're 100 yards away in a tunnel. For sure.
Is this any better?
Yeah. I told you need to get a new microphone, so I'm going to send you a gosh darn new microphone. Anyways, I think I can hear you. I think you can hear me. Hopefully, the one person that's watching can hear us too. I can hear you, Tyler. That's good. So they can hear you. Good. It's just my headphone not working. So whatever, I'll do it without it. Let's go. So are you? I don't know about you, but I'm pretty darn fired up for Medicare Con next week.
Oh,
even if it wasn't in Las Vegas, I'd be excited, but I guess I'm extra excited.
No, I am definitely fired up, wanting to get out there, counting down the time. Looking forward to it. I think from a tangible standpoint, it's probably one of the most tangible learning events that we have on the Medicare side of the industry, as far as picking up.
I don't think tangible is the right word that you're looking for there.
No, I don't think it is. It's
tactical, maybe. Tangible. Yeah, tactical, I don't think that was the right word there.
Yeah, tactical maybe is
useful information. Just say useful information. It's full of useful information, but I don't want to just sit here and bumble and stumble and stutter. So let's talk about what do you plan on getting from the conference?
Practical, yes, I like that one. Well, one, I'm looking forward to connecting with some individuals to go over some insights and thoughts on the industry with all the changes that are coming up. I think that that's going to be a huge piece of it that's going to be there. Sales tactics and learning experiences from different viewpoints and venues with opportunities that are available. I think those are going to be the things I'm looking most forward to.
Have you seen the lineup yet?
Yeah, I saw part of it. Oh gosh, I was trying to think. Well, I know that I know. Well, you're there. Justin's
good job.
Galen.
You nailed that one. What?
I said I thought Galen was going to be there, but I might be mistaken.
Just throwing names out now. I like it, Tyler. Just throw darts, see what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah. So I would check out the lineup, and there's definitely some interesting new people in the lineup that I'm excited to see and learn from. The breakouts I'm really excited for. There's a ton of in the breakouts really are where you're going to get the actual tactical information.
Yeah.
Not tangible, but tactical information, usable, right? Information that you can take home on Thursday next week and apply immediately. But that's what I'll tell you. In my experience, probably the number one negative trait about insurance agents is they're lazy and creatures of habit. Even though they'll go to a conference, they'll go to an event, they'll go to a training, they'll go to a room, they'll go to a meeting, they'll get a bunch of great ideas, they'll write them down, like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And then they do nothing to implement them. And it's basically the second that they leave that facility or that location, everything goes right back to the way it was. Why do you think that is?
I think people come in. I don't know. I mean, there's a few sides to that. I think like some of the first events I went to, I was just overwhelmed. I wanted to try to drink from a fire hose and swallow everything. So I was trying to take in way too much and not targeting on what I really wanted to grow in and have a focal point for what I was trying to achieve. I was trying to do everything. I think that's the biggest issue is that people just don't have a target or a goal in mind. And they're lacking direction.
I mean, if you're going to an event, why would someone have a target or goal?
Why? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, that's the question I'm asking you.
I asked you first. I don't know. To me, it's you can go with the machine gun tactic, which is kind of what I felt like I did for like the first event or a couple events even that I went with, where I was trying to shoot down everything rather than trying to target in and dial in on specific spots where I wanted to grow and learn so that I could advance myself to that next level. I think go ahead.
I think back to school, Tyler, and while I think that our education system is broken on some levels, I do believe that they have how to teach somebody down. And so you learn arithmetic by doing what? First, you learn to identify what the numbers are. Then you learn to identify 1 + 1. And you work on basic math with basic arithmetic and addition and subtraction. Then they work you into multiplication. Next thing you know, they're working you down into pre-algebra. And then you get to algebra. And then you get to geometry. And you get to calculus and pre-calculus and trigonometry. But they don't just start you out at trigonometry. So there's too many people that have this weird, I call it weird because it is weird. It's like a delusional psychosis that I'm different and I'm just going to make it happen overnight, which it's not going to happen that way. There's nobody that's made it happen overnight. The only way you can do that is if you know the right person and they hand you something you didn't earn. So, is to win it or to get it without earning it. And if you get it without earning it, you're not going to keep it because it's impossible to keep things that you don't earn because you don't value them correctly. So if you're going to Medicare Con next week, if you're going to any event, even if it's just a training, if you're going to the local United Healthcare dual SNP training or the local Humana training event, Tyler is right. You should have a goal in mind. Like, what am I going there for? What is the mission? What is the intention of attendance? And if your intention of attendance is just to show up and be known, then there is some value in that. Good morning. Whoever said good morning. The value comes from whatever you pull out of it. So in my experience, most conferences have a huge component of pep rally. And part of that is impactful and useful, because being motivated and being filled with energy and vigor and pushing hard is important. But most fall short in the planning category. And so for me, my mission for Medicare Con is to give as much value as I can. And for me, Tyler, one of my big goals, because we're sitting up front. I don't know about you. I'm sitting up front. However, I'm going to spend a significant amount of time looking for and finding and talking to people that aren't in the front. And I mean, you're going to get good ideas from the people in the front, but there's also a level of ego at the front. There's a level of, I've already made it in the front. There's positives and negatives on both sides. And wherever you're at in the room, you have to understand you chose that spot. Right. And so now you got to figure out what you're going to do with it. But outside of the conference, what is your favorite thing about Vegas?
Blackjack table.
Blackjack table. Which one?
One that has a good crowd sitting at it.
Yeah, I like to play by myself. I don't like a good crowd. Usually there's some yokel that ruins it all for everybody.
Yeah, no, I've been to some events where I've been able to sit at the table and network. Puerto Rico would be a great example when we were down there. Sitting around the table with a bunch of people that we were at the event with and able to communicate and connect there in a less business environment. And I think it opens up that discussion a lot too, where you're able to connect with people outside of that venue when you're in a completely different atmosphere. I mean, down there, I picked up a bunch of tips and stuff from Tony Merwin. That was awesome to be able to do that. So
Merwinator.
So yeah, that's probably my favorite part.
I like war more than blackjack.
Oh, that's that weird game you were telling me about.
Well, it's not a weird game. It's a childhood game.
Yeah,
it's very simple. Does my card beat your card? That's all. It's literally all it is. Does my card beat your card? I have a lot of fun with that, and everybody sits down thinking it's going to be blackjack, and they're like, "What the hell is this one card blackjack stuff?" But yeah, I think the venue and the event has evolved over the last few years. I'm excited. I don't know if it's going to be this year. I don't think it's going to be, because somebody may push me into it. I don't know. I want to start doing a workshop. I don't want to call it a conference. I want to call it a workshop. But in essence, a conference style workshop designed event for AEP and helping people launch into AEP correctly. And so that's one of those things. After you've been to a handful of events, you'll start to, at least for me, I started to look for gaps. Like, what's missing from these things? What could make them better? Because they're not all the same. It goes back and forth. I feel like you and I have both been at good conferences, and we've been at pitch fests. And the bad thing about being a salesperson is when you show up at a place and you have other salespeople pitching you. For a lot of salespeople, it's hard to say no to salespeople, because we understand the grind, we understand the dynamics behind it, and we want to support someone trying hard. But yeah, I think that's probably my second tip is be wary of who you plug into at a conference. What I've learned is a lot of stages, the people up there, unless they're famous, are paying to be up there. And if you're paying to be on a stage, normally when you pay for something, you expect a return on the investment, right? And so then that's where the pitching side comes into play. And that's what I like about Medicare Con is there some of that? Sure. I don't think there's any way to get away from that part of it. Otherwise, what incentivizes somebody to go on stage and share their value with you if they're not going to get any value back? Right. So that part of it I get. I would just say be wary and really get the stuff that really makes sense to you. And I would, in retrospect, I've been historically Tyler. I know you too. We basically try everything. Like, all right, we'll give it a shot. It's only one app. It's only two apps. It's only whatever. That psychology works really well. But yeah, I think I would advise to really choose wisely, and even if they have a tempting act now offer like this expires at midnight crap, trust me, most of them the offer wouldn't expire at midnight. You could make things happen if you wanted to, if you just had creative persistence, if you really wanted to go to something that that you wanted to think about. And so I say think about things, and most of the value you should get from the conference should be from the people you're sitting by, and or the people you network with at lunch, and or the social events. That those are your opportunities to go talk to anybody. So there's going to be some top people in the agents in the industry in the room, and all you got to do is go up and talk to them. But so let's transition away from that. Obviously, we're both going to be at Medicare Con. Obviously, if you're watching this, or if you're in the insurance Medicare space, you probably should be at a conference called Medicare Conference. We have made a transition to focusing on developing new talent. And I'm curious to hear from your perspective, because sometimes in life and in business, it feels like sometimes you're like, all right, I don't know how it's going to work, but I'll follow you. I could tell that you had some apprehension when it came to when I said, you know what, I want to change who we're trying to recruit, and I really want to only recruit somebody who's not experienced, so either unlicensed completely, doing PNC and wants to get into Medicare, doing health insurance wants to get into Medicare, doing life insurance wants to get into Medicare. Those are the people we want to work with. And in 99 out of 100 situations, the agent that's already within the hierarchy, that already has experience and all that, in my experience, for the most part, that process is 10 times more difficult. I'm curious to hear your perspective on exclusively targeting new.
Yeah, no, I was a little bit against it at first, for sure. When we were discussing that and kind of rolling that out, just for the fact that I don't want to leave anyone behind. And I think it was a lot of my compassion and just human desire to want to help people being in there, because I know that there are good agents that are in a bad spot. And so I don't want them to be left behind. I think that's where the biggest part of that came from, just having gone through that myself. But realistically, looking at it, bringing in a new agent it's a lot more work, but it's also a lot more rewarding at the end of the day. And the other piece is, when you're bringing in someone who's new, you're not having to break bad habits. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges to get through.
Well, let's stop right there. What are the bad habits?
I mean, they can go up and down the board. I mean, sales tactics is a big one. get stuck in a certain way and mentality. I've seen that happen quite a lot, where someone came out of like a captive or ICA type situation to be a broker, and then they are still just pushing for that one carrier all the time and having that bias in there. And it's hard for them to weed that out. Not that it's impossible, but we all kind of have favorites that we work within a market. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to put that aside to really do what's right for the client. Schedule. I think that's a big one. People get put into a schedule and they want to do, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, or, whatever their timeline is that they want to do that. And they kind of put themselves
in. Let's analyze that for a sec, Tyler. Why is Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 a bad idea?
Well, if you're working people who are retired and sitting around Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, that's fine. But if you're really targeting people who are starting Medicare and going into that turning 65 market, or people who are retiring and coming out of that, they're still working. Most of them Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So makes it really difficult to connect with them and be able to be available for them. And then from a servicing standpoint, when your client calls you at, 7 o'clock on a Saturday night because they can't get their medication filled, or they're having trouble picking up a blood glucose monitor, being able to be there to help them and service them and making yourself available for that is what's going to really build your relationships with those people to solidify you as their agent, as their advocate, which is what drives the long lifetime value and the long-term value of your clients, but also from your referrals on that. And it's not a whole lot of people that are out there, unfortunately, where their agent, so what did you do for Medicare? Oh, I called this guy. Why? I can call him at 7 o'clock on Saturday night or 6 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, and he's going to help me out. He's going to get back to me right away. He's going to be available and fix things. So I think making yourself available, not that you have to be sitting in your office the whole time, 24 hours a day, but making yourself available to where you can at least get in contact with people during outside of bankers' hours or government hours is huge.
Yeah, I think it's possible at some point to work 9 to 5, but I think that's 3 to 5 years in after you've established a business. You've probably opened a brick and mortar. You have a staff. It's when you have a staff doing a lot of the other little things where you can actually go to a normal schedule. Which there is no normal in this. If you're going into the insurance entrepreneur, unless you're in a captive environment, there's nothing wrong with captive environment unless you are trying to build your own business. That's the only negative of captive environment is you're not building your own business normally. So for me, there's two different ways that an agent can set up shop. Okay. To me, and I equate this to whoever brings you into the business. Like you were saying, Tyler, it basically comes down to whoever mentors you in. But I think I use fishing a lot, but to me, I think of how I like to fish and my preferences of what type of fishing I like to do. And a lot of it goes back. My dad was the first one to take me fishing. He liked to sit on the side of the bank and use bobbers and worms or sinkers and worms. And we just sat there and watched poles and waited for poles to move. And that was the type of fishing. Now, that's what most insurance agents are looking to do is they're looking at, or like a spider web, they're looking to set up a shop and they're looking to wait for business to come to them. Right. However, both the good fisherman and the successful spider set up their web, set up their shop at the most ideal location possible. And so if you're in downtown Buffalo at the corner of Main and Main and you're in the best spot possible, then yeah, maybe sitting around like a spider might work. And you might be able to just put up some signs in your window and attract enough business to you by just sitting in your office 9 to 5. But in general, I don't know any successful agents that sit around 9 to 5, that work a 9 to 5. And the sacrifices that you have to make to be successful as an entrepreneur, most people aren't willing to pay the price, which is why 92% or whatever the heck it is that fail in the first 3 years in this industry, it comes down to that. It comes down to not being able to treat this for what it is, which is you're running a business and you're running every position in the business. A couple of days ago, I was sitting with my administrative staff, and I had to remind them, like, let me just tell you about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when it was just me, and I was doing your job and your job and your job and your job. I was doing everybody's job. And so you have to understand, when you're trying to run a business, yeah, you can work a 9 to 5, but you have to do 4 positions in the restaurant. So you're working a double every day because you're working more than one position. You have to be the cook and the cashier, and you have to be the dishwasher, and you have to be the manager, and you have to be the custodian. And when you have to be everything, you have to be the appointment setter, you have to be the leader, you have to be the paperwork pusher, you have to chase down applications and make sure they go approved after they get submitted, you have to check on things, you have to do more service, you have all these balls in the air. So it's not a 9 to 5 job. It's never going to be. If you're trying to moonlight as an entrepreneur, do something else. Own a vending machine. It's a much better passive job. That you don't have to do any work other than show up once in a while, fill it with candy, and collect the money. But this isn't one of those opportunities. This is an opportunity where you have to be a hunter, not a gatherer. You have to go out and hunt the business down, and you have to be attractive while doing it. So who you follow should only get you up to speed. And more than likely, just in school and in sports, you're going to need more than one coach. You're going to need more than one teacher to get you where you need to go. And each person you get mentored by and learn from and or emulate and or duplicate, each of those people will give you something that adds to the recipe of who you are and how you do things. But if you don't have an intention behind it, and if you're, when he says bad habits, again, the first thing my mentor Rudy told me when he sat me down when I was on the progress of learning this business was, look, insurance agents are 2 things: creatures of habit and lazy.
Oh, did I just lose my service, or is that you? All right, thank you. Not sure whoever popped in with that, but I appreciate it letting me know. Oh, and he's gone. And I have no idea where he was going with that, but I did get that exact same talk, that insurance agents are creatures of habit and lazy. It's always the Tyler show. I just let Joshua pretend like he's in charge. No kidding. I love him, and I owe him everything for getting me into this. With agents, they fall into that trap, and I don't know what path and lesson he was trying to go down with that, but it is 100% true. And getting out of that mentality and setting your own path is 100% the way that you need to progress if you want to excel in the industry. You can show up, you can moonlight in the industry, but you'll never have success with it. You'll never be able to make it a full-time career. And that's really what getting into the business, if you want to be a true entrepreneur should be, is creating your own business so that you can grow that and treat it like your own baby so that you can make that difference and impact. And Joshua just informed me that he's back. Yay.
Would you believe it or not, Tyler, that internet is one of the most important ingredients of running a podcast? So
oh wow,
internet just crashes in the middle of it. Yeah. So I don't know where I froze at or what the hell I was in the middle of saying. It was probably some really powerful point.
Rudy, the lazy agents
yeah, lazy and creatures of habit. And so that's true. And if you can't look at yourself, if you're in the industry and you can't look at yourself and go, look, I am lazy and I am a creature of habit. Now that could be, it could be not that you're like lazy in business. It could be like you're lazy in your recommendation. So some agents will do the same company every single time because they're lazy and they're a creature of habit, and that's the one that's easy for me. That's the one I know the website the best. That's the one I like, which works, right? For some people that works. I just have a hard time with the integrity side of that. And for me, the core of my business is to treat everybody like my mom, and I wouldn't just willy-nilly put my mom on whatever everybody else was on. So I don't have it in me to do that. I don't have it in me to have a favorite. Like, do I have a favorite behind the scenes? 100%. But if the numbers are telling me, if the prescription drug costs and the doctor networks and the benefits are telling me it should be company A, I'm not going to try to force company B because I like them better, right? You have to understand what you can control. I forget, Tyler. Do we have any control over the benefits?
Yeah,
maybe they listen to us a little bit.
Well, I think we do have control over one specific benefit. And,
what's that?
The value that we bring as the agent.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. You're going deep on that one. But I'm talking about the benefits of the plan.
Yes. No,
okay.
We don't.
Humana Gold Plus plan. Do I have any control as the agent over what the copays are, how the benefits work, any of that? No. So I'm just operating with what I have. Again, if you're a car salesman, you don't get to choose what kind of springs they use in the suspension. You just get to sell whatever Chevrolet offers, whatever Hyundai offers, whatever Lexus offers, etc. That we in this business, the definition of broker, Tyler, is what? Like if you were to simplify it down to the dumbest way you could say it, layman's terms.
I figure out what the best option is for the person I'm working with.
We're a matchmaker. We're a middleman, middlewoman. That's all we are. Our job is to connect the client who has a need for coverage. You are a matchmaker. So try to think of yourself service for insurance companies and clients. And the only way that you can be a matchmaker is what, Tyler?
Knowing who you're matching.
You got to know both parties. And so if you don't know the companies in your area and you don't know the plans in your area, start there. Start studying the plans every day. I promise you, if you took time to study the plans from 9 to 5 while you're doing your 9 to 5, while you're sitting in your office waiting for people to walk in the door, if you study the plans over and over again, pretty soon you'll be so knowledgeable on the plans that will become one of your strengths. And when that becomes one of your strengths, you can now use that in the field to, and let me give you a real world example of why this is important. Why is it, Tyler, do you think that it's so easy for, whether they're good or bad, call center agents to move somebody from company A to company B or from plan A to plan B? Why is it so easy?
They sell on a value prop of some benefit.
The answer, yes. The answer is no matter what company and what plan, within reason, you can come up with 3 to 5 reasons why they should move from company A to company B. You can come up with 3 to 5 reasons why they should move from company B to company A. It's both ways. And the reason is, what's the main rule for all advantage plans and all supplement plans? All supplement plans are standardized. So the benefits of plan G are benefits of plan G, no matter where you buy it. On advantage plans, how does it work?
They have to be as good or better than original Medicare.
So we have a baseline. They can't be below. Okay. And then they're only allowed a 15% profit margin with the MLR. So there's a ceiling on how high the benefits can be. Okay. And so think of it like whack-a-mole. And if a company A takes the copay for a doctor visit up, they somewhere else in the benefits, they have to take out and they hit their MLR. So don't overcomplicate the process. Learn if you don't have, is that 100% a requirement for you to be successful? No. Are there situations where you're going to lose business because you can't identify an opportunity? Yes. So the advantage of knowing all the plans and market or the grocery store, wherever you're marketing, and she says, oh, I'm on company blank, you can immediately start poking for points of pain. And you can say, are you using your over-the-counter benefit? Are you using your dental benefit? What do you think, Tyler? I would be curious. What do you think the number one answer that I get to are you using your over-the-counter benefit is? What do you think the answer I get most often is?
I have an over-the-counter benefit.
Yeah. What is that? What is over-the-counter? Because the previous agent did the plan at all. They didn't go through the summary of benefits at all. They didn't talk about the extra value-added benefits at all. They did no education. They did a close, and they did the front side of the transaction, which I would argue to anybody watching this, be careful because with the technology now, I think it's Gen X now. And when we do that, it's a more
losing you
for you to do what, Tyler?
I lost you.
Oh, you lost me?
Yeah, Gen X, and then lost it after that.
Did it go blank, or did you just didn't hear me, or
you froze for a minute?
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear my internet's wonderful today. So when we transition from a baby boomer to Gen X, do we all think that we're so awesome that the client couldn't pick out a plan without us? Are you really running around pitching out that you offer the value you offer is helping them choose a plan? Because I would argue they could do that themselves with a website. I would argue they could do that themselves by calling the carrier.
Oh yeah, I mean 10 12 years ago when I started, and I'm working with someone running a ranch in Wyoming who's like, what the hell's a computer? Absolutely, that was a huge value to help them figure out a plan. Now most people are familiar enough with the technology, the amount of information that the government's sending out on a regular basis to anyone who wants to listen to it about go to medicare.gov, yada, yada, yada. They can go out and pick a plan by themselves. So yeah, no, I think that's the dumbest way to build a sustainable business. You can build business that way, but it's not going to be a sustainable business, or it's going to be continual churn of business to gather new people all the time, because the value comes on the back end. When the sale's done, that's when your job starts. I mean, in my opinion, that's when my job starts.
In everybody's opinion, if they're doing it right, right? I think. But yeah, that's where the lazy part comes in. Lazy and creatures of habit. Okay, so don't be lazy on the back end. And the easy part, there's a lot of agents that have gotten away with for a long time pretending like their job is so hard by helping them pick out a plan. And then they're what I call a ghost agent, which is what unfortunately the consumer considers a typical agent, is an agent that shows up, is really fun and friendly, helps them enroll into a plan, and then disappears, never to be heard from again, or doesn't answer when it's time to answer. One this morning, like a month ago, I think it was in Missouri or something, and somebody was reaching out to me for some help with the policy. And instead of deferring it to my staff like I normally would, I just told her Missouri today, but we'll be back tonight. Are you available tomorrow or Thursday? And then I got busy and never called her. And so she sent me a text message at 5 o'clock this morning. You never called me back. You never do when you say you. Is there somebody else I can talk to, please? And so now I'm going to have to scramble to figure out what I can do to make that right. And so you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes in whatever industry that you're in. The question is, do you own them when you make them? And do you do everything you can to make them right? Somebody do everything you can to make it right in that situation.
Well, and I think the follow-up on that is putting the systems in place so that you don't continue to make those same mistakes.
Sure. Yeah. Again, I said normally I would give that off to my staff, but I was in another state, and I let the variables of the situation make me lazy. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's where you have to own the fact if you're lazy, you're lazy. If you're a creature of habit, you're a creature of habit. If you're good with being organized, you're good. You have to own the good and the bad. And I think when you really cross that threshold into accepting who you are, I really think that's where the magic happens. As an agent, as a human, as a professional, as a friend, as a father, as everything. Emotional relationship you have with yourself is probably the most important one you can have. But going into the field, having a system, writing down your systems is probably one of the things that I regret not doing the most. So if someone looking for advice, if you're new in the business or whether you're not, the sooner you start writing down what you're doing and why, an example of what you do in a process when you onboard a new client. Do you create a folder? Do you go, what database do you enter them into? Do you add them to your calendar for your they get tagged with? There's a lot of things that you can set up to make your life easier. Just understand the setup is time consuming, and the setup is cumbersome, and the setup's going to be painful.
I think that's one of the biggest things that I struggled with on that. And I know that you struggle with the same thing.
Is probably one of the better ones at that.
What's that?
I said, you're one of the better ones at organization that I know.
Yes. What I struggled with was the systems and operating, writing it down. Like I can organize it up myself, but where I struggled was putting it down. Whether it was a Word doc, a video training, whatever it was, getting that down. Because when I hired on my assistant and I was like, hey, we got to do this. Now I'm creating all of that while I'm trying to teach it to her so that as I start to add more people, I have that here, study this. This is what we're going to go over. And it's a lot of front end work. And to me, it was like, damn it, I'm wasting my time doing this when I could have done it 3 times faster myself. But the reality is that, yeah, in that one instance, it was there, but now it's going to save me every other time exponentially down the road, saving me however much time by having that system in place, by having those operating procedures written down in a format that can be understood by someone else when they step into that spot.
So we got a question. I have a T65 list and an assistant. I wanted to have her call them for MedSup, but don't have a script. Can you help with that? Can you help with that, Tyler?
Well, I think that part of that would come into what type of I mean, it's a T65 list, but I'm guessing this is just a cold call list of where.
Yeah, it sounds like they want to have an assistant cold call a T65 list for MedSup. So I guess I would try to target counties that only had MedSup in that case. Or I guess you can call them all on MedSup. If you just run into a slippery slope there with bait and switch.
Yeah, and I would, in that situation, like as far as the script goes with that, I would be very on point for compliance to where they are dialed into this is for Medicare supplement and not having them try to do anything other than set a call time appointment with you so that you can go over to that and verify you are calling me to go over these benefits and work from there. Because if your assistant starts getting into any of the nitty gritty that they're not familiar with or violating any compliance stuff, that can come back onto you. So that part's always a struggle when you're on there. And really going with the script, the best way that I would do it is record yourself doing it or have them sit with you while you're making some of the calls so they can see exactly how that is. I've had trouble with my assistant doing lead calls, and not cold calling, but lead calls for people who have requested information, where she was able to get them on the phone, but I didn't show her how to solidify the follow-up appointment, where she'd get them on the phone and say, yes, we're going to do this, and she'd get an appointment. But then I've got no-show appointments. And I'm talking for people where I've been working leads that are out of state, out of area that I picked up. And I'm just trying to reach them by phone because they're 4, 8, 18, 25 hours away from me. So in those situations, it's really frustrating where the assistant puts something on my calendar for half an hour or 45 minutes of my time blocked off that day. And I'm planning on doing an intake appointment with someone, and they no-show and ghost it. And then I'm following up, she's following up, trying to get back in touch with them. But it's because I didn't show her how to set that standard from the beginning to solidify what that is. You freeze again, Mr. Yeshua?
Well, we'll see. I'm not the biggest fan of an assistant making lead calls. And I think it works if you're doing a referral. So if there's a referral coming in, then you can absolutely have an assistant funnel that to your schedule and your calendar. That's a different ball game. I know there's people that are doing that successfully, where they have an appointment setter, but I think that's the key, is you just want someone to call and set appointments. And my best advice for a script on that is identify the points of pain, which MedSup, there's really, they're what, paying too much or got a big rate increase. So you're fishing for those points of pain. Are you on a MedSup? When's the last time you got a rate increase? And are you satisfied with the rate increases you've received over time? But a T65 list, just cold calling a T65 list, that's a really tough way to do it. I would probably do different things with my time and my assistant's time as well. Now, if you're looking for busy work to fill time with, that's one thing. But yeah, for me, I would maybe have them be an appointment setter, but not a lead worker, if that makes sense. So if you're just working them from the cold side of things, that's one thing.
And I think the type of assistant will come into play too. If you've got a VA that you're paying a couple bucks an hour for, then absolutely, I wouldn't shy away from that for busy work to fill their time. But if I'm paying an assistant 15, 20 plus dollars an hour, I would need to have a significant return on that lead generation, that appointment generation from that, to be able to justify that even on a lifetime value basis.
Yeah. So it sounds really attractive, and I think a lot of people have tried it. I have tried it myself too. If you have time to properly train that person, then do so. Just know you do run a level of risk in that they're gonna feel like they're doing all the work and you're getting all the glory. And so I don't know how long you could sustain an assistant doing that. You might need to do what I do, which is use your admin position as a launch pad to launch agents into the field, like a training grounds, if you will. I'll keep saying that's a way to recruit and train an agent properly. Putting them into your office as an admin for 3, 6, 12. All right. So one thing I have learned today is I've got to figure out the internet situation for next week.
Well, next week we're gonna be broadcasting.
Yeah, we'll be in Medicare Con, so hopefully the MGM Grand has good Wi-Fi. But yeah, look for us to be coming at you live from Medicare Con next week. Really excited about that. We again, we'll have a booth, Medicare Machine Factory. I'll have a booth. We will have a prize. Misty Bolt, Medicare Misty, and I are going to be doing a bonus training after the last Medicare Con speaker, that in essence, right after Medicare Con, before everybody goes home. So if you're interested in being part of that, stop by the booth and you drop your entry into the drum, because the only way to attend this special training, we have 2 people that won a scholarship where we basically sponsored a couple of people, Misty and I, to come to Medicare Con, pay for their flight, their hotel room, their ticket, all that good stuff. So they're in the training automatically. The rest of the people, there's going to be 30 people total. The rest of people have to win their spot by dropping their name in the prize drum at the Medicare Machine Factory booth table. So we're in booth spot number 18. Top level map, we are at like 1:30, 1:15 on the clock if you're looking in the room from the top level. But come find we look forward to seeing as many faces as we can down there. And if they're podcasts, let us know. For a lot of them, we're going to have special guests come in. What each person does uniquely. But yeah, I really enjoy this. I'm really excited to hopefully someday have somebody actually sit in the the nature of it. I live in Fort Morgan, Colorado, in the middle of nowhere, and so having people show up live to the studio isn't as likely as other locations might be. But yeah, Tyler, we have about a minute left. Is there anything that you want to throw out there as your closing remarks for the day?
Yeah, since we're going to be at Medicare Con next week, looking at everyone, at the beginning, I mentioned one of the biggest values, and we've said that multiple times, is the connection when you're in the room. And the pro tip that I want to give out to anyone that's looking for it: seek out who you want to seek out. Don't be afraid to do it. I mean, I'm just Tyler. He's just Joshua. Come talk to us if you want. I mean, if you see, whether it's Galen Hendricks or Justin Brock, Justin's probably going to be a little bit busier, but if it's Pete or Christian Brindle, any of the other speakers that are going to be there that you wanted to talk, pick their brain on something, go seek them out, talk to them. I mean, I've done that. I was starstruck, shy. I don't want to be the guy who interrupts somebody while he's eating dinner to take a selfie with him and his family. But at the same time, we're at a conference. Do not shy away from walking up to anybody and just, hey, do you got time? If not, I can promise you 99% of them are going to say, if they don't say yes, they're going to say, not right now, come find me at whatever. And they will take a few minutes to talk to you and go over where you're at. So don't shy away from that. That's the biggest thing you can do to shoot yourself in the foot.
Agreed. All right. Well, he is Tyler Tingu. I am the Medicare Machine, Joshua Youngs. This has been the Top 1% podcast. Tune in again next week. We will be at Medicare Con, and you should be adding this to your calendar anyway, and or listening to it on the backside, because who doesn't want to listen to us bumble and complain about internet for 20 minutes?
Right.
Anyways, have a great day. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Live from Vegas.